Are we ready, Sally?
It's just about ready. Just have to hit live and then I think we'll be ready to go.
Okay.
It's just coming on. Give me 1 second. All right, I think we're good to go.
All right. Welcome. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Shannon.
No, you go. You go. You're our MC.
I was just going to say, this is Sally Flashberger with the Board for People with Developmental Disabilities. I'm the Living Well project manager, and today we're just doing our first module of our COVID toolkit, and I'm going to turn it over to Shannon. She is the coach for our Living Well grant, and she's going to get us started.
Thanks, Sally. Hi, everybody. I'm Shannon Webb, and I'm a consultant with the Board for People with Developmental Disabilities here, and working with Sally and Caitlin to develop a toolkit to help you stay healthy, safe, and connected during this challenging time that we're all in right now with the COVID situation. I also have a guest speaker with me today. Her name is Marcia Stickle. She's a registered nurse, and she'll be available to answer some questions as soon as I'm done walking you through the first part of the toolkit, which is the stay healthy part. You can find the toolkit on the Wisconsin Board for People with Developmental Disabilities webpage. That's www.wi-BPDD.org. And as you can see on the screen here, if you scroll down a little bit from the home screen, you'll see the resource toolkit right there in the center. And you go ahead and click on that, and it'll bring you to a page that looks like this. And there's this big green button in the middle of the page that you can click on to download the full toolkit. Once you get the toolkit downloaded, this is what it looks like. It's several pages long, and there's 3 main sections. So this is the cover page, and you can see that it's broken down into stay healthy, stay safe, and stay connected. That's on the right-hand side. And if you scroll down, there's just a little bit of an explanation about what the coronavirus or COVID-19 is and where to find some key information on the Department of Health Services website, as well as a link back to the BPDD website if you'd like to go back there. So here's the cover page of the Stay Healthy section of the toolkit. This section is broken down into a few different pieces.
Shannon?
Yes.
I don't think I can view, I don't see your screen.
Oh, you're not seeing my screen. Good to know.
No, I'm seeing the PowerPoint. So if you could share again.
Okay. Now can you see it?
Yes.
All right. Getting to know Zoom a little bit more. Apparently you have to click another button. Here's the front page of the Living Well toolkit. This is what I was referring before. So it has your 3 sections along the side here: stay healthy, stay safe, and stay connected. And scrolling down, you get to the first section, which is what I'll cover. It's the stay healthy section. And in this section, there's just some brief information about what you need to know. COVID-19, also known as the coronavirus, is a serious illness that's spreading around the world, but there are ways that you can stay safe and healthy in this time. And so this next section is about staying healthy in this challenging time. Some key information about the coronavirus or COVID-19 can be found at this link, which is the Center for Disease Control link. And that's the national organization that's keeping everyone up to date on what's going on with COVID-19. So the next page is about how do I avoid getting sick? So there's 10 things that you can do to avoid getting sick and to stay as healthy as you can at this time. The most important thing you can do is stay home and only leave the house when necessary. Don't go into crowded places. do not travel. And if you do go into anywhere where there are other people, make sure you keep at least 6 feet away from them. You want to wash your hands a lot with soap and water and warm water for at least 20 seconds. You want to make sure that you're coughing in your elbow or into a tissue and throwing those things away. You don't want to touch your face, especially your eyes, nose, or mouth. You do not want to share food or drinks with anyone else. You want to wash down places you touch often. Stay away from people who are sick, and wear a mask or face covering when you're out in the community. There is a really great video that People First, Cindy Bentley and Ashley Mathley created. And you can access that video by clicking on the toolkit here on the picture or the link below. Or you could just go to the self-determination channel on YouTube. It looks like this. Let's see if you can see my screen. And then, find the videos. That one's really near the top. And I'm going to play it for you so you can see what it's all about. Just gotta click on the video and let it load.
Hi, I'm Ashley. Hi, I'm Cindy.
See if you can
You're watching
this.
the Self-Determination channel. I'm in Milwaukee. Cindy and I were going to meet today to make this video together, but instead we have to video chat because of the coronavirus. We want to stay healthy. We hope you stay healthy too. To help you, we are going to share things so you don't get sick. Are you ready, Cindy? Yes, I am. Okay, I'll start. Our first tip is to wash your hands often throughout the day. Always wash them after using the bathroom or being in public, like after you go to the store or take a walk. Use lots of soap and water and wash for at least 20 seconds. If it helps, you can count to 20, and then of course you dry them. All right, that's all to it. Cough or sneeze into your elbow. This will stop germs from going into the air and onto your hands. And don't share food or drink. Try not to touch your face, especially your eyes, your mouth, and nose. This is how germs get in your body. If you have to touch your face, use a tissue. Here are some things you can do to keep your hands busy so you don't touch your face. Tap your knees. Use a fidget spinner. Doodle. Play with a ball like this. Well, and that's what happens if you lose it. Play a game on your phone, iPad, or computer. Remember, no handshaking, no hugging, or no fist bump. Smile or bump elbows instead. Hope you love those tips. Thanks for watching, and stay safe out there. What are you doing to stay healthy? Share your tips in the comments below.
So a fun video, an informative video that you can share with others. All right, let's move through the toolkit some more. So what do you do if you get sick? Well, if you get sick, you do not want to go into the doctor's office. Whoops. What you want to do is you want to call them first and follow their instructions. Because for one, you don't want to leave the house unless you absolutely need to. And another, you don't want to go into a clinic where there may be other people who are sick, or if you're sick, you don't want to go there and spread the virus if you do have it. So if you do need help, there are definitely resources and things that you can do, and you're going to learn about more of those tomorrow when Sally goes through the stay safe connected. But the most important, stay safe section. But the most important thing for you to remember is that you want to call your clinic or your doctor's office, not just go in there if you are having symptoms. So some resources here for self-advocates and caregivers. There's the video that I just showed you. There's a graphic on how to stay safe, a very visual graphic with some pictures and directions. There's a really great information piece here by and for self-advocates that was put together by Green Mountain Self-Advocates out in Vermont. But it has to do with, you know, everybody across the nation who's trying to stay healthy, safe, and connected. There's information for caregivers about coronavirus. There's information from the Department of Health Services, and then more information from the Center for Disease Control. Specifically here too, a video showing how to go about making a homemade face covering or mask. And then here's another handout in the toolkit about how to stay healthy. So it's kind of like the video that you just watched, where it gives instructions about not touching your face, not shaking hands, just some reminders about what to do if you are out and about in the community and you need to go to work and do the important things that you need to do. Make sure you wash your hands and wash everything down and try to stay at least 6 feet apart from people. So that is the Stay Healthy section of the toolkit. I am going to hand it off to Marcia, our guest speaker here, our guest registered nurse, to answer any questions, add some thoughts. Let me just show you a picture of Marcia. There she is.
So now you see me, and now you hear me. There's probably just a few things I would encourage, additional tweaks, if you will, to the items that are listed. They're all excellent. It tells about staying at home, and I think most of you know, but I just want to kind of underline the fact it's okay to go outside. I really strongly encourage going outside and getting some fresh air, taking a walk if you're able, if you're in a wheelchair, having somebody assist you to take a little stroll while maintaining the social distancing that we talk about that is so necessary. It is very healthy in 2 ways to get outside. One, it's just healthy for us to be out when the sun is shining. We get some vitamin D, and the fresh air is good for us. It's also good for us as far as our feelings. It kind of helps us to not feel housebound and not feel anxious when we can get outdoors. So when the weather is good, and we are getting some better weather as spring is making its slow way into Wisconsin, do take the opportunity to get outside. If you have caregivers, to all of you who are caregivers, please make it a priority to make that part of the daily schedule. We have found as we make our walks in the neighborhood that there are a lot more people who are out walking, and everybody that we see are friendly and smiling and waving, but keeping their distance. And that's a really good thing for all of us to remember, is keeping our distance. That 6 feet away is if you put your arm straight out from your shoulder and the person that you're in the same room with or outside with puts their arm straight out from their shoulder, that's about 6 feet. You don't want to be touching hands, so you're keeping, your hands are not touching, but you're each putting your arm straight out. That's 6 feet. That's how far you need to stay away from people. The other thing is with the soap and warm water washing, cannot emphasize enough just how important that is. That little virus that is a little bit scary to think about cannot tolerate soap because its outer coating is made out of lipids or fats. And soap just destroys that outer covering, and there it goes. It's dead and it's down. So be sure you use soap and warm water. 20 seconds is, as we've already heard on the video, counting to 20 if you count slow. Otherwise, if you know the happy birthday song, if you sing the whole song, that's about 20 seconds as well. We've already heard about the coughing into a tissue or an elbow. I would really warn you about the dangers of somebody coughing either on you or you coughing in somebody else's presence. And then we heard about the not touching your face, which is so important and also very challenging. We tend to do that, all of us. The other thing about washing down places that you touch often, if it's counters, tables, doorknobs, anything that can tolerate warm water and soap, that's a really good thing to use first. You can also use Lysol wipes or alcohol or hydrogen peroxide or a bleach and water combination. With all of those, you want to get them clean first. So the washing them is still a really good idea with soap and water. And then you can use the other things I mentioned as an extra step if it's safe to do so. I would say one other thing that isn't present on this list but is also very important is anything you use as far as fabric. If you cough or you drool on a pillow slip, and many of us do drool in our sleep, so just saying, don't need to be embarrassed about it. But those things need to be washed in as hot a water as possible. So for most things like towels, washcloths, pillow slips, sheets, all of those kinds of things, and face masks, which I'm going to get to next, really need to be washed in hot water and then dried on a hot temperature in the dryer. So now we get to the homemade mask, and I'm so delighted that you have those places, links that you can go to see what to do, how to make them. There's a lot of new information now. Just within the last week, the determination was, yes, it is a good idea to use a homemade mask when you go out. It doesn't mean you can stop washing your hands or stop eliminating touching your face. Those are still very important. You also still need to do the 6 feet distancing. But what has been found is in places where they're using face coverings, other countries, it is preventing the spread of the virus in this way. Many people apparently have the virus but aren't feeling sick, at least at first, and some never feel sick. And so by everybody wearing a face covering when they're out in public, it can prevent the spreading of the virus. If you get sick and you're in your home, and we'll get to that, that's coming next, one of the important things is for you to wear a face covering in your home to help protect other people who may come in to help you. So a face covering in your home if you are sick. And then, unless you are in an isolated room, which a separate room, then you don't have to have it on. But if you're in the presence of anybody else, you should have a face covering. And the people who are helping you also should have a face covering. And here's the tricky thing that isn't in here, but it's very important. If you have a face covering and it gets damp, it gets wet because of your coughing or sneezing, you need to remove it, and it needs to go in the wash. You need to put a clean one on. So that's for anybody who wears a face covering. If it gets damp, you must remove it. You must put a different one on because it's very much not healthy to have to continue to wear a damp or wet face covering. Again, we have that same information about washing your hands and cleaning the places you touch a lot. Many of us have phones that we have in our hands a lot. And you do have to be somewhat careful in washing them. Those wipes are good. Of course, you don't want to use water on a phone, but they do need to be kept clean. If you wash your hands after you get home from somewhere, but you had touched your phone during the time you were out, you can get your hands dirty again by touching your phone. So when you get home, you want to wash your hands and clean your phone surface, because otherwise you're going to just continue to have the possibility of a virus on your phone, then to your hands, and back and forth.
Marsha, we do have a couple of questions.
Good. I'm just going to say I'm ready for questions.
Oh, okay, yeah. So one of the first questions was, if you have an essential job, how can, and part of your job is greeting people, how can you keep that 6 feet distance or keep safe doing that?
So greeting, so they're doing different things at different places, and I'm not sure. What, where somebody is, but there are a lot of places now, for instance, at the checkouts at the grocery stores, where they put up a plexiglass, a plastic barrier, which is a really excellent idea. And so if that's at all possible, a plastic barrier between you and the people who are coming in where you're greeting them.
And maybe asking your employer for some type of protection, whether it's gloves or, would those be good ideas? Yeah,
you're going to want to wear the mask if you're greeting people. That's very important too, because, you're in a high risk situation. However, you don't want to be fiddling with it on your face, because then you're touching your face again. Finding whatever means possible to have that distance if they're coming in and you are behind a desk or behind some sort of barrier that creates a 6-foot distance would be a really good idea. I think people just forget sometimes, so you really need to feel brave and say, 6-foot distance, keep safe. Whatever you want to find as a script to say, let's keep the distance, be safe. If you're helping that person as well as yourself to be safe.
So maybe having that answer already to say, this is what I'm going to say if he gets too close. Okay.
Yep. I think it's really good to be prepared. Mm-hmm.
What about someone's asking about washing the stuff that you get from the store when you get it home? What about that?
Yes. So there is a good video on that too. I don't know if you have that link there.
No, but we can put that link on there. Yeah.
Yes. So it is really a good idea. And even if you have, if you have things delivered, I would say or if you go and get groceries, set them down in a spot that then is dirty, and take them out of the bags and get rid of the bags if you have your own bags. So what I did, I have my own bags, which I used at Aldi. I took those bags and washed them in hot water and dried them. But anyways, you get the items out of the bag and wipe them down. Now I used hydrogen peroxide straight up on a paper towel, and then you need to let it dry. So hydrogen peroxide and alcohol you use as they come out of the bottle. Full, you don't dilute it. And you can put it on a paper towel and wipe it onto all of the packaging. Let it sit until it dries. And meanwhile, when you've handled the bags, the first thing you want to do is you want to go and wash your hands. And then you start wiping things down. And when they've been wiped, you put them to a clean area, a designated clean area that's been washed with soap and water. And then let those things sit there and dry, and then put them away. They are also recommending washing fruits and vegetables in warm soapy water if they've been handled. So if they're in individual items, if they're in a bag, you can you don't have to worry about that. You open the bag. What I did is I washed the bag off, opened the bag, and then put the things into their refrigerator or wherever right from the bag, and then I felt they were safe. But if you pick out individual things, I'll give you a little bit of humor. We picked out a fresh pineapple as a special treat since we're home, but you know that's a tough one to wash. But I did wash it because we'd handled it, and it had been handled by lots of other people before we handled it. So we needed to wash our hands and then wash the pineapple. Even though we're not eating the outside of the pineapple, there is a possibility that, you know, if you didn't wash it, you'd be handling it again, and then you're kind of recycling the possibility of the virus. But also, when you cut into something to use the inside parts, your knife is traveling through whatever's on the outside and then putting it on the inside. So for several reasons, it's a good idea to wash things. We don't have any proof of anybody, you know, getting sick from their groceries, but we also find many, many people don't know how they got the virus. So that's why people are being encouraged to be extra cautious.
So we don't have any more questions in the chat box, but we do have several people joined by phone. And so I am going to unmute. We'll probably maybe spend about 5 minutes if there's someone who actually wants to ask a question. We know technology can be difficult, so it might be hard to find the chat. So I am going to unmute. Shannon, if you want to stop sharing the screen for a minute, that would be great. And all right, I've unmuted most of the participants. So if you have a question, please go ahead. All right, well, I guess maybe we were pretty
I can't
thorough.
hear.
Pardon?
I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. I was wondering which link is it for the make your face mask thing in the toolkit?
It's the
It just
bottom
says-
link that we just added from the, it's the Surgeon General. So I could have Shannon.
The very bottom one on the list. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll
I'm
screen
looking
share it
at it
again.
on my phone.
I will share it real quick here. So I'm sharing my screen again. Can you hear me? I think I'm unmuted. Yep.
Yes, we can hear you.
So if you go to the toolkit on the BPDD website and you go to page number 4 of the toolkit, there is the bullet point, the second to the last bullet. So all the way down the list, on the bottom of page 4, you'll see it says Center for Disease Guidance on Masks. And then it says how to make a mask at home. So you can click on the very bottom link and it'll show you how to make a mask at home.
And it's just a piece of cloth and some rubber bands. It's very simple.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and there's a lot of research going on about what is best, but really I think for people at home, what works for you? What do you have at home? Do you have a scarf? Do you have a bandana? Do you have a ski mask? Even washable napkins like cloth napkins or dish towels. There's, you know, it's really find what you have that you will feel comfortable having on your face, and then again something that can be washed, because you're going to need to wash them. If you go out to get groceries and then you come back, and then you're in your house, I would really encourage washing the mask that you wore or face covering that you wore when you were out in public. That's just one more caution of how to be careful.
Okay, thank you. And then I had another question. So for the laundry stuff that you discussed, is that just like wash your stuff, like regardless of whether you've been around people or like? Okay, so if that's more like if when you're sick and you wash I'm talking about like your pillowcase, you mean? Things like that. If you're sick, even if you don't know if it's the coronavirus, COVID-19 or not, go ahead and wash those things in hot soapy water, and then rinse them. Or like I said, my reusable grocery bags, I washed them because they'd been out in the community. So the masks that you have, the face coverings that you've had out in the community, I would encourage washing those in hot water. Anything that has either been in contact with somebody who's sick or could possibly have been in contact because it's been out in public. Okay.
I have also read that.
Do you understand?
And then I have, I think just one more question. For because you were saying for the grocery thing, you were saying soap and water, but then you didn't mention hydrogen peroxide. So is hot water and soap just as good as doing hydrogen peroxide, or is that not?
Yeah, it would be fine. It's just kind of hard to wash like say you have a cereal box. You have to be careful, with hot water and soap. You can't do that with vegetables. You can put them in the sink and wash them with warm water and soap, and then rinse them, of course. But for things like cardboard and other things that wouldn't do well with warm soapy water on them, then use the hydrogen peroxide.
Okay, and I was thinking more for like counters using just hot water.
Counters, yes, warm water and soap. Wash their counters with warm water and soap. That is a good idea.
Okay, so I've been using hydrogen peroxide, but I'm going to run out if I start using that for groceries.
Right. No. Yeah. That's you use a lot of it and then you're going to run out. But for most people, using the warm water and soap to wash down the surfaces, like in your kitchen, that should be fine.
And then last question. So do you suggest that, I've definitely been staying home other than going to the grocery store maybe once a week, if even that. So do you suggest that just going for a walk that I wear a face mask, or only if I'm going in public?
If you're going for a walk, you do not need to wear a face mask.
Okay. Awesome.
Yep. Enjoy the fresh air.
And I have heard that if you're walking in an area where it's difficult to social distance, then perhaps you should be wearing a mask. But if you can go on a trail or a sidewalk where you can move apart from one another, 6 to 10 feet away, then it's fine to not wear a mask or a face covering.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I did have that. I was out on one of our trails this weekend, and it was very crowded and felt very but that I should have had a mask on and stay out there very long.
Right. Yeah. If there's any chance of crowding, and I don't live right in an area of high population density, so it's not an issue here. But certainly you are exactly right. If it's a crowded area, you do need to wear the face mask, because then it's just like if you were in a store or somewhere, the outside air isn't going to be magically preventing it if you aren't if you're close to each other.
All right. Did we have any other questions?
I have also read that instead of washing your mask, say, in hot water, that you can also put it in a plastic bag and put it in the microwave for 2 to 3 minutes. Do you recommend that?
It might be okay, but I haven't seen anything from the CDC on that. So I hesitate to say that is definitely going to. I've really been taking my lead from the sources, like, trusted medical sources, CDC especially,
Right.
and so until I've seen that, I guess I would hesitate to say that is enough. It should be. I'm just not sure.
We can do some looking into that too, and if we see something that's from a reputable source, we can add that to the toolkit.
Yeah, and I
Right,
think
that's a good idea.
good point to always be looking back at reputable sources, the Department of Health Services, the CDC.
Yep.
And
Yep.
we will be updating the toolkit on a regular basis for self-advocates too. If there's other, good resources that we find or pertinent pieces of information.
That's really such a good thing, because if you can get really anxious and worried about some of the things that are on Facebook or, websites that are not accurate, or have a false sense of security about something and it's not accurate.
Sure.
And so, there's more information. I could give you general information about when you get sick, but I think it is really important you call your doctor and find out what's applicable for you.
Sure.
There's certain kinds of conditions that you might have that make you more at risk, and your doctor's office should know that. And so I don't want to amp up anybody's anxiety here about why you would be more likely to be more sick. But do trust your doctor's office to share with you what you need to do for you.
All right, we're kind of getting to the end of our time. Is there anyone else who might have a question? All right, well, thank you so much, Marcia, for joining us. It was really great to have a medical professional on the line. We're just advocates and we don't always know all the right answers. We will be hosting 2 more of these sessions. The one tomorrow is on Stay Safe. So another portion of our toolkit, and that will again be from starting at 11. And then on Thursday at 11, we will be doing Stay Connected. Tomorrow we'll have Mitch Hagopian joining us from Disability Rights Wisconsin. And on Thursday, we will have one of our self-advocates from People First, Ashley Matthey, joining us to help answer any questions. So we appreciate you joining us today, and look forward to maybe having you on the next 2 days also. Thank you very much. And thank you, Shannon, for being the great presenter.
You're welcome.
Yes, thanks, Shannon. I have one more question. Was the election postponed or not?
It was
Or
not.
It was not.
Okay.
So everything we talked about in the video